Right.
Right,
Angus, you know what to do.
We're good to go.
We're all set. We've got drams. We've got a guest. No Chuck. If he turns up, great. If he doesn't, that's fine. Clap us in. Welcome to the Whiskey Stories podcast.
This is the worst podcast ever.
Oh, it's
Honestly,
terrible.
God, if you're still listening, everybody, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's my fault. I think in 2023, I took count of how many new whiskeys we put out, and it was 200 something. So, not a lot of thinking. At 200, it's just like, is this the end? Because I'm going to piss my fucking pants.
I thought it was just there. I thought it was just there.
I've heard that guy.
Well, look,
before.
Welcome to the Whiskey Stories podcast with myself, Graham Colger. We're back in the Athletic Arms, back in the Diggers dungeon, sandwiched underneath the toilet and the bar. We've got loads of drams around us. How are you, Angus?
We've got a few drams around us.
Aye, we've got a few drams
We've
in
had
front
more
of us.
around us.
We've
We got loads around
us.
us.
Yeah, around us.
I had no.
You're just blending into the surroundings, are you?
That's it. I'm too familiar down here now.
That's
This
exactly.
is.
There's no signs that say not for Graham or Angus up here. There's plenty that say
No,
not for Ross, so
that's
we could probably tap in.
That's well observed, Graham.
Yeah, and actually, do you know what? Because of the weather outside, the temperature in here is absolutely spot on. That's
perfect.
In the summer, this place has been a bit of a hot box.
Yeah, it's not been particularly comfortable. This is. I would say this is.
Optimum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
optimum.
there we go.
Yeah, we've got the 1 week of the year where it actually is
we've
a comfortable temperature.
Exactly. No Ross today. Ross is over. Ross is over with his mother and father-in-law in
He is.
Michigan.
In the wilds of northern Michigan.
Brilliant. Good luck to you, Ross.
With a rifle.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I don't think he should. I think he's there to stuff the animals. So he can wall mount them.
Turn up on these terrible taxidermy pages.
I've seen Ross run away from a spider. But we are joined by somebody who does know what they're talking about. We've got a doctor in the house, Mr. Sam Simmons. How are you?
Fantastic. Yeah, all good. I also agree the temperature is divine. And I noticed we're surrounded by a lot of closed bottles. I guess it's inventory.
Yes.
But also some pretty sexy open ones.
Yes, exactly.
Which means, yeah.
There's no lines. Kev doesn't draw lines on the open bottles just yet. But it's great. But Sam, welcome along to the Whiskey Stories podcast. Dr Whisky, you're head of whisky for Atom Brands. Great to have you here, and we've spoken quite a little bit over the phone and stuff like that. You're flying in. It's a fleeting visit, so we've managed to get you because you're normally based out of that strong Norwegian accent that you've got there was the giveaway, wasn't it?
Pretty true. It's very true. I live in Tønsberg. It's a nice city in the south of the ballsack of Norway.
It's like the Swedish chef from the Muppets.
But yeah, you're visiting over, aren't you?
Yeah. You say visiting, and I was explaining it to colleagues down south. I do feel like I'm coming home when I come to Edinburgh, which is, it sounds so stupid probably, but I'm not ashamed of it. This is where my adult life began. I became like a grown-up living in the city, and it became my life, my whiskey life, my wife, friends for life, all that kind of shit happened here. Yeah. So I definitely feel like Edinburgh's a home of mine.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But you're not from Edinburgh or Norway?
No, neither of those places. I'm from Toronto.
Brilliant.
You can tell by the way I say Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Toronto, but I moved to Edinburgh in 2002, and have been away from Toronto ever since.
Wow. Well, so welcome along to the Whiskey Stories podcast. We had a colleague of yours, a friend of yours, Boutique Dave, on, who was
Dave Worthington.
Brilliant guest, brought a lot of great drams with him, and we had some great
had an
chat.
incredible lineup.
And a great story as well, starting off just by writing sort of little whiskey reviews on Facebook.
And going to whiskey festivals with his daughter as well.
Yeah,
and
fantastic. Yeah.
Had some great stories.
Yeah. So what got you? How do you end up? Well, first of all, I've got written down here Dr Whisky because that's sort of your handle, but you're not. Are you a doctor of whiskey?
Yeah, but that handle, similar to Dave's story, Whiskey Discovery, is a blog I started.
Yeah, right, okay.
So I lived in Edinburgh, like I said, 2002 to 2006. Moved down to London, and when I lived here, I worked at Oddman's at Queensferry Road. I think it's gone now,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
Oddman's at Queensferry Road. Friends with anyone on the Royal Mile Whiskies, of course. Just a whiskey nerd because I didn't know anybody, so I joined a whiskey club and just got enamored with the spirit and the folk.
Were you a fan of whiskey before you moved to Scotland?
No, I would say no. I stole a green bottle with a white label from my grandfather, and it tasted like cancer. So I was like, I'm good. I do not need to drink that. That is foul. No. But when I moved here, mostly as a way to meet people.
Yeah.
I went along to a whiskey society, the Edinburgh University Water of Life Society.
Oh, yeah.
And there's mostly English folks or posh Scots. And one woman from Sweden named Jess, who was the mascot. And they sat around going, oh, divine, oh, yeah, oh, quiet, popcorn, oh, I agree, James.
Yeah.
But I really got into, I thought whiskey was like one thing, a monolith. Johnny Walker was the same as Glenlivet. Glenlivet was the same as Glenfiddich. I didn't know. I didn't really know. So I got really enamored with the whole thing and then the people. And then I remember that first night at that whiskey club kind of floating home. It was a different drunk. It was a different high. And I loved it.
And that was you. So basically from that moment, you kind of, that was the start of it. Because I mean, Canada has a good whiskey history.
Yes, you know. I mean, I don't know a hell of a lot about it. I mean, I know maybe you can enlighten us a little bit, but I know these kind of big powerhouse Canadian club and all this sort of stuff. Absolutely massive.
Well, you also, from a historical point of view, Canada was influential in getting whiskey into the States during Prohibition. You know, the smuggling routes. You've got Hiram Walker, who was a Canadian whiskey maker. What was it? Who came over, bought Ballantyne's and what have you.
Yeah.
What's the other big? Well, there was another big Canadian whiskey brand that came into Scotland as well. Someone will be sitting shouting at it at their radio right now. But coming into Edinburgh then as a way to meet people, that's an interesting noise.
I hope the mic is picking that up.
Yeah. Just a hum there. That's going to give me lots of editing to do in the background there. Someone's blocked the toilet or something. I don't know. But when you come to Edinburgh then, and this is what's always fascinating for me, is like as a Scot and other people that we've spoken to on the podcast who are Scottish, you feel like I always feel really disappointed when you meet a fellow Scotsman, Scottish person, and they go, I can't stand whiskey. I think, mate, you're like, it's meant to be your heritage. It's like, can't stand whiskey, can't stand haggis, don't like football, can't watch the rugby. And you're like, well, what identity, and kilts, I can't wear a kilt. And you go, well, what's your identity? Like, that's our identity in some cases. Now, it's wrong to say stereotype, like, we're not stereotypes, or have you?
I'm racking my brain for something that you don't like.
I hold it. I hold it, and other people hold it to them about, like, I remember speaking to Colin Hines from Tipsy Midge when we interviewed him, and he said he was travelling the world, and as a Scotsman, it was like that was what made him feel like I should know about whiskey. So when I'm speaking to a foreign person about whiskey, I could say. So I'm always fascinated from the other point of view. When you meet somebody who's not Scottish but obsessed with whiskey, what was it? Was it just a thing that you thought, I'm going to have to tick this to say I'm coming to Scotland?
I think a kid growing up in a chocolate factory might not love chocolate. And I think you guys are spoiled. It's everywhere. Your uncle had it. His fucking breath stank, and you didn't want to be around him.
Yeah.
No, I want someone else to say goodnight to me. I don't want Uncle Tommy reading me a fucking story. It smells like grouse. And you didn't know what it was. I think that's a really common story. And when I started working with Balvennie in the U.S. in 2008, we then hired mostly Scots to take on the role, and not all of them were whiskey fluent. They didn't give a shit. They didn't grow up in a house that and I totally. But then at a distance, they're like, wait a second, I see it with a different perspective now because it's too close. So why? What is it about it, or why?
Well, I just find like, was it a case of, look, I'm coming to Edinburgh to study. Whiskey is part of the Scottish thing.
Yeah.
You said, I'm going to... Did you make a conscious effort? Was it like... So your wow moment was at the Water of Life Whisky Society. But that's a big step for somebody just to take to go... Obviously, you're saying from a social point of view, it probably helps. Folks. But you know, because there'll be a lot of people that would go, I'll go to a pub like Diggers, try a couple of drams, because it's like, it ticks a box of like, come to Scotland, try some whiskey.
Well, no, you can't do that. I hope it's different now. 20 plus years of companies investing in ambassadors and education. But I have to be honest, back then, a wall like what you have at Diggers or any great whiskey bar is really intimidating and not welcoming. Yeah. It doesn't bring people in, actually. It turns people away, unfortunately. And I think that, unfortunately, is still true. Having great people on the bar who can speak about it and not make it patronizing helps. But I think without that first little bit of education and information that it's okay to say Brutschladich, and no one's going to make fun of you. They'll just correct you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that first experience when you say, "Can I have the La Perhague?" and someone laughs at you, you're never going to drink that again. Yeah. And that was prominent.
Yeah, well, that was it. I've said it before. I'm so glad you've said that, because I've said that about the SMWS. And we love Scottish Malt Whisky Society. They've been and tomorrow we're going to enjoy a lovely meal down there somewhere.
Careful now. Publish it next week.
By the time this goes out and someone's listened to it, we've had our lunch. But I've said it, and that intimidation, because the two things that really put me off was, number one, not knowing what was on the bottle. So I didn't have the trust that I would like, because I didn't know what I liked. What I knew I could like was what I like. For example, a Glenfiddich 15 I knew I liked. So I saw it behind the bar. Good, I'll go for that. And then maybe if you've got a good bar person working behind the bar, they might go, if you like that, we could get you this. Yep. Whereas going into the SMWS and looking at a wall of whiskey and going, I don't know what to pick. And then the fact that, all right, I think their tasting notes are very cool and I like the way they do their tasting notes and how they describe a bottle. I still just go, I don't know. I just want something that I like and I know I'll like. So that was that. Then the other side of it was, and like what you were saying about the Water of Life Society, about sometimes you can go to these places, the pretentiousness that sometimes surrounded it made, like you're saying, I don't want to be the guy that makes a mistake, or sometimes sitting in the room when everyone's going, and I'm still that guy, and I'm quite happy to talk about it now when everyone goes, can you get? I'm getting that on there, and I'm sitting there going, no, I don't.
Smells like whiskey still.
Yeah.
But look, Georgie, Mark Watt, Georgie Lagavulin, Port Ellen. Now they worked at the bar. And they were not snobby.
Yeah.
They were, and it is an intimidating thing, but you could just say, the thing I know I like is Solera, or whatever it was called back then.
It was a Solera, yeah.
Glenfiddich 15, which is gorgeous whiskey, still is. You could say that and they'd be like, yeah, okay, great. And they'd steer you, and they wouldn't make you feel like a dick.
No.
They wouldn't make you feel dumb. And I think the society, although it's a society and everyone's on leather couches.
But how does that operate then? Is that like a weekly thing? Do you meet? Do you get people in from outside? Do you go on kind of field
for our
trips?
Edinburgh Whisky Club?
For the Life Society.
So a separate thing than there's SMWS, but no, the Water Life Society, when I was, like I said, it was like 12 people. I really got into it. We grew it to be 2 bottles per session, so 56 people. And
was that you just clubbing together, buying your own bottles?
Everyone paid a membership fee, I think, of £5. So you had a kitty.
Sure.
And then £5 per meeting. So you could always buy a bit ahead. Yeah. And you just covered your costs, and then maybe a brand. That's how I met Richard Patterson. That's how I met John Glazer.
So
I just said,
these
hey
guys came and
will you guys send a bottle? I'll come myself some.
Oh, really? Wow.
Richard, and they were the warmest, most generous people, and made the whole thing feel welcoming.
Did you have to change the carpet after it?
Yeah. That's where this went. Woo! Fucking hell.
But I mean
No. But exactly, they were warm and welcoming, and made it really easy.
Well, we can go back to when we talked to Arthur Motley Angus. And
yes.
You heard Arthur talking about the early 2000s. We only know whiskey from when we really started drinking whiskey, which is like, probably 2018 to 2020.
Exactly. Everything before is ancient history, isn't it?
Yeah. So suddenly you're looking at like the world now of where whiskey, like you're saying that bars have, like Diggers, for example, in 2002 won't have had the whiskey collection it had. But
no, I came here when I lived here at university.
We were talking about this. Yeah.
Go ahead.
You were saying that it just didn't. You knew this bar from when you were at Edinburgh University, and it just didn't have the whiskey selection.
It was a great pub, and you could speak to people. It was a great pub, but it was not a whiskey destination.
No. And that's obviously something Kev's put in place since he's been, and we spoke about that when we had.
Well, Kev mentioned that, I mean, as a sort of blueprint for it, 35 mils and loads of bottles in the back bar, and it does.
But then you mentioned, you were here down in Edinburgh to 2006. You mentioned 2008 you were working in whiskey, so a career in whiskey, was that something you always wanted to pursue, or was that something that just happened?
I don't know that existed. But look,
really?
man, remember like when we started.
Was this due to then being at Oddbins that this opportunity came back around, or?
No, not quite. So no. So after living in Edinburgh, made contacts in whiskey. It gave my soul joy. It definitely was the happiest bit of my life. Whiskey stuff. And then you asked about the society. We did do trips and stuff. We'd hold
All right, so you would go
bi-weekly-
up to distilleries, or
Yes. So then I would have to reach out to you and at Aaron, say, hey, I want to bring 20 people over. Can we? Of course. And they would, and everyone, the answer was always yes. How can we make it happen? Everyone was so warm and welcome. It was just awesome. Yeah. And I could use other people's money for myself to go.
Exactly. Do you have any favorite trips that you went on with the society then?
Well, yeah, crossing Aaron to Isla, to Kintyre then to Isla. That was a cool way to do it.
That is it, yeah. So getting the ferry from Aaron to Kintyre, then to Isla.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the back route, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, we like it the back way. It was awesome. One of my favorite memories was being in Pitlochry, where we stopped. We're in Pitlochry. It's a great place to visit.
It is,
easy up from here, if you're driving, and it's a very cute town.
Yeah.
And you could do a walk through the hills, end up at you could start at Blair Ethel, walk through the hills, see a deer, probably see a waterfall, end up at Edward. It's perfect, you know. And then after that, we get back to the cars, to these buses that we've got, and the American guy Alaric, who's the president of the club, says, "I'm ready to drive." "No, I haven't had enough to drink. I'm fine to drive." And as we pull out of the parking spot, he says, "Just so you know, I haven't driven in 10 years, and this is my first time driving on the left side of the road." And within seconds, if not minutes maybe, he scratched a car on this side. And we had to stop, and we waited for the person to come. We made a note, but then we just waited, and it ruined the. But anyway, we were all half lit. Anyway, we had a great time, and he took it like a guy. But anyway, that was it should be a distillery story, but that's one of my favorite.
Well, that's the thing. That's what sometimes we've done these trips. I guess.
Oh yeah, well that's it. It's almost the kind of incidental things that happen around these trips.
Exactly. We've had right. So go Edinburgh then. Right now,
I'm sorry, it's my fault. We're going everywhere.
No, let's go back. Dr Whisky. So you're not a doctor of whiskey then?
I'm not a Dr. Whisky, but my buddies. So when I was here in Edinburgh, 2002, 2006, I was studying towards a PhD in literature. And running this whiskey club, and so my buddies all started. I definitely spoke more about whiskey than about Ezra Pound or poetry, which was what I was writing about. And so jokingly, people started calling my buddy Rand, who I'm staying with now, would say Dr. Whisky, Dr. Whisky, and then that just became a thing. So when I left Edinburgh for London, my brother-in-law, my wife now, my wife's brother said, "You should." My current wife's brother, thank you, said. The internet's a thing.
Yeah.
You should start a weblog. A weblog, yeah, okay. What the fuck is that? Blogger.com, all right, so check it out. And I could start just having a whiskey and writing about it. And I had a justifiable reason to keep in touch with you and Aaron or Richard Patterson or John Glazer or whoever it was.
Sure.
Bill Lumpson was also very generous in those early years. And it would give me an extra reason to be like, hey, I'm doing this thing. Can I check a fact about original or whatever, Glenmorangie? And I started writing about it, and the name I gave it was Dr. Whisky.
Right.
Yeah. And then that became. You said, did you get the job because of Queensferry? No, it's Dr. Whisky. There were Serge Valentin, who Whiskey Fun, still going with Angus, and Serge. There was an American guy named Kevin who had a website called. I'm really sorry, Kev. Fucking hell. There were only like 3 English language websites happening. So if someone wanted to look up Glenlivet 15, Glenfiddich 15,
it was a fair
I came up.
On your page, which is great.
Like you say, that early day, like the early days of it. Paul Main, we've talked about Paul Main a lot. Paul's been on the podcast. He said, I was a whiskey geek when, like, in the 90s.
Yeah.
And it's like you had to wait for magazines to come through, and then obviously
if only we'd started a podcast then, Graham.
I know, exactly. I mean, God, maybe have 3,000 followers on Instagram. But because it's like, that early day of being involved in writing, and even speaking to Dave, like Boutique Dave Wormtub, talking about, back then, you're talking, he was, maybe 15 years ago, just writing a review of a dram on Facebook, just for his pals. It led to a blog, it led to then, and that's where it stems. Interestingly, the Oddbins thing, I'm trying to think how many.
We've had a few odd bins.
You're not even the first Canadian that worked in odd bins on this podcast.
No, that's right.
Megan Murdoch. She started at odd bin.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
well. So yourself, Jamie Dawson. I'm sure he was
an odd bins guy. Yeah.
And there's other people.
There has been a couple.
And it's funny, like that route into it. So odd bins just was a job whilst you were a student, just to get by and work.
It was exactly. It was a way to pay the bills. And
did it give you an opportunity at that time where odd bins focused on whiskey, or was it literally just you had a whiskey thing and odd bins weren't really doing anything with whiskey other than
odd bins. So the front bit of the shop was all whiskey.
Right.
And that's where I was to stand.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was already nerdy about it, but and I educated. I walked around Bullmore and I look it up, go home and get Michael Jackson's book out and try to look it up. Didn't use the internet really. Used books the old-fashioned way.
But I mean, like the thing is, maybe there wasn't so much information back then. So the information you were putting on now, it was then what people would use for information that they found. But ultimately, I find now it's actually a trusted source is probably the best way you can get it. And there's still whiskey books that you can look at now. Whiskey yearbook.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel more comfortable taking the facts out of the whiskey yearbook than I would be trying to find it online.
Yeah,
because you could probably look online. You could probably find different variations, different things. Wikipedia, you're relying on if it's been updated properly or anything like that. Whereas actually, you go the whiskey yearbook, and you do know what? If you actually have to reference something, if you say it's come from the whiskey yearbook, people in whiskey will just go, yeah, well, that's probably the best reference point you can get.
If there's one thing to have in your bag as a whiskey nerd, that's definitely the one.
Yeah,
and it's been since 2005, maybe 2005. That's an amazing resource. You're right. I was trying to look up a fact about Blair Athol the other day, and now fucking Google AI is the first thing that comes up. You have to scroll across. You can scroll across to web if you want it, but you can't default web.
No, the AI is there.
And so the AI comes up first, and it tells me about Bob Blair.
Yeah.
And I knew that because I know the details of Bob Blair. It's 1798, but whatever year it was definitely 18th century. So totally wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm worried. Never mind just whiskey.
Everything else.
Everything else.
Well, I was just interested, just because I know our listeners in Dundee, when they hear AI, they're having what we're talking about. But it's a thing on the internet, lads. But because I just find it fascinating that the access. I mean, first of all, I would say that the access hasn't been very difficult for us.
No.
We've reached out to plenty of people, and there has been so many people who have been so open and helpful, and that's what you find in the whiskey industry. I think as long as people are talking, writing, whatever it is they're doing about whiskey, then people are really happy to push it, and there's always that friendliness. But I would say now, the names that you've mentioned back in the early 2000s, the accessibility to them then versus now. Like Dr. Bill, I messaged Dr. Bill Lumsden on Instagram, and he's, sure, we'll try and see what we can do. Really, really friendly, really helpful.
Guys,
it's mental.
That would not happen if you want to speak to someone at Adidas.
Which is just, that's mental.
Super cool.
But then at the same time, I think the way that whiskey's gone, it makes it harder for them to go, I could just pop on the phone and have a bletheree or pop down or anything like that. We have seen it, and rightly so. We've had we've got big brands lined up for the future in 2026 with the podcast. But again, there's a lot more of, we'll need to run through a few more ways of getting you to speak to these people so that we don't have that. And that's fine, because when you look at where the brands probably were back then to the way the corporate world is now with whiskey, that probably governs a lot of the high end part of it. It makes it trickier, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's not your role as you're doing a podcast to chat and to have a human connection. Like I said, I was listening to an episode the other day and laughing out loud embarrassingly in front of strangers.
We've said it is embarrassing. Right, because you did a podcast yourself. You had a podcast.
When we had the time and wherewithal. Yeah, I loved it. We loved it. Dave and I both. So I remember adding Dr. Whisky's website. I remember after I started, more English language whiskey websites appeared. I remember adding Dave's to the link wall at the side, and there were 6 links maybe, and then 12, and then 27, and then 50, and then it was a whole other page. It was like links here. You had to go to another thing. it blew. I was just at that time to do that. But the objective, what I'm going to say is, you're trying to talk to people and just like humanize it all, and it's not corporate. Dr. Whisky, I was never, the website was never like, it was only information and no judgment, no scores.
Oh, right, okay.
It was never like, this is shit, or I think this is shit, or this is objectively shit. That was not the purpose. The purpose was like a great film review or record review. The good ones tell you about the film as objectively as possible, and you decide if you think you're going to dig this. And I think that idea was true to whiskey. I learned that from whiskey. And Scotland. Not to patronize you guys, but I think Scotland is Scottish people have a very special demeanor and outlook that it has permeated other parts of the world because of innovation, for the last 200 years. But there's a certain special there's something in Scottishness that self-deprecation.
You're right.
I think it's really important to not take yourself seriously, and that attitude is everywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like what you're saying about the reviewing side of things. It's something that we've looked at, and it's like, look, this is the other thing is clickbait and all that kind of stuff. Opinions.
Oh, you'll get clicks.
If you say something like, I'm going to tell you the 5 worst whiskies that I've had of 2025.
Well,
and you'll get people going like, what are you talking about? And it's very easy to then suddenly say, look, what we could do, we could sit there and say, I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick an Ardbeg 10 in there, because I know that if I put Ardbeg 10 in my 5 worst whiskies of 2025, someone's going to go mental about it, and it's going to create this, spark, and then it's eyes on, and
I can think of 3 current examples of content creators or whatever the fuck they're called online who specifically do that, and that's not cricket.
Jocks.
Well, but I've been worried about it, because I sometimes feel like we are reluctant to pass too much judgment and opinion on a dram.
Yeah, well, I never wanted to really do whiskey reviews because I never felt I was qualified to do them, especially starting out. And even still now, I don't feel like I've got enough conviction in my own opinions to be able to pass judgment, because at the end of the day, I don't want to say someone's great or someone's crap, and then someone disagrees with me. That's exactly what I don't want to do.
Before we do start sounding like hypocrites, we do the Simmons score at 60-second whiskey reviews, which we haven't done in a little while. But we try and put a bit. It's more. But I just find that like sometimes. Yeah, you'll maybe.
But it's not an in-depth, serious thing.
So when those are subjective opinions. I watch those.
They are, yes.
That's different. Or Ross's thing that he's doing where it's blind. It's fucking brave.
Yeah.
Because you're going to expose yourself as an idiot. But that's okay.
He's good at that.
But
he's not an idiot. He's not an idiot.
No, of course not.
Sorry, me man.
But I think that's coming from the right place.
Yeah, it's an interesting way. So when you're writing reviews, so when you are putting those reviews out, you're just saying, this is this whiskey. This is what it is. I
try to tell the story of the distillery, or some personal vignette if I visited it, or something I heard from somebody else who did, or a link to another. I was always trying to elevate other people doing whiskey. A link to another website who reviewed this before, and then in terms of the tasting notes, like I think I did nose palate taste or whatever, nose palate finish. Yeah, typical, real creative Simmons. But it was never like. There were no value terms. It was mostly just like, it's carbolic, or it's is this baby sick, or it'd still be there'd be negative things, but it was just trying to be as factual about it as possible. And if you like material, people do. If you like sulfur, people do. This whiskey's got it.
Absolutely.
That's it. No, that's on the subject of drams. We've actually all finished our drams. But what have we been dramming?
Speaking of sulfur,
we've
we've had the full street of James Street.
We've had
the full street.
So tonight, Woody and Megan are launching Jane Street, their brand.
And we featured the bottles on a previous episode as well when we were down at their warehouse. We had a kind of sneak peek. Although actually, interestingly, when we were there, I don't know if we mentioned it on the pod or whether it was after recording, we had 3 bottles on the table, but they were actually Woodrow's whiskies.
Yeah, they didn't have the whiskey yet.
These were Woodrow's whiskey labelled with Jane Street for photographs.
So
when we kind of said, "Oh, can we try it?" It was like, "Oh, well, it's actually not Jane. This is Jane Street."
We have Jane Street. So basically, they talked about it on the podcast. They're bringing out a sort of their own brand of Jane Street, where they're gonna. It's not named
blended.
No, it's not
blended malt.
I don't think it is.
It is Graham.
I think it is.
It is blended
It's
malt.
blended
Right,
malt.
there you go, it's blended malt.
It's blended malt because we talked about it on it's blended malt.
Sorry, apologies.
But the aim is for 3 consistent different flavour profiles. So there's now, what did they describe them on the bottle?
Well, there's a sherry one, there's a bourbony one, and there's a
smoky
smoky one.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So John, Mark, and Robbo were ahead of the time. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So John, Mark, and Robbo, they were too early because this concept is great. I'm not dissing Megan and Woody's. I think it's great that they're doing this. John, Mark, and Robbo, the cartoon label. I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Cartoon label. Guy used to work at Macallan and 2 of his buddies.
Right.
And they had a rich sweet one, smooth sweet one. Sorry, rich spicy one, smooth sweet one, which was green. The first one was red, which works. And a smoky peaty one.
Right, there you go. And that was. And
They were before they were ahead of their time. 2005. They had scratch and sniff stickers. Like you
really?
get this
Yeah,
card.
yeah.
It was fucking great,
Cool.
and it was brilliant. And the whiskeys were great too.
Yeah.
But the world, I don't think the whiskey
No,
was ready.
Anyway,
for it.
I had the smoky one.
Yeah, I had the
I
sherry
knew the
one.
sherry
I
one.
reverted to type. And
Smooth sweeter.
yeah,
Or whatever.
Very, very nice. Very easy going.
Yeah,
and
really
they're
good.
talking about 40-odd%. I can't remember off the top of my head what the percent of ABVs are, but it's not. Basically, what it is Woody and Megan are bringing out something that's not single cask, it's not cask strength, it's blended malt, and it's
A consistent product.
it's a consistent product that you can get.
Yeah.
And it's their launch tonight, which the 3 of us were invited along to, but neither of us could make it there because we're doing this. So we just wanted to say thank you very much to them for that.
Yeah.
Although we still paid for
He
them or
couldn't
whatever.
make it because he was speaking to us. We couldn't make it because we were speaking to him.
Exactly, that's exactly it. But
Circle of life.
but lovely drams, all the same, very, very good.
No, really good.
Tonight.
Yeah.
And Scott Moore is here.
He is, yeah. We've met him before. He's at that event. He was upstairs. He was in this room about an hour ago.
Yeah, and that was it. We've met him. He's over.
He very kindly gave me this Glencairn glass, which I suspect probably very few other people in Scotland have. Memphis Symphony Orchestra.
Can you play it?
I don't like to toot my own horn, Graham.
You leave that to the current wife.
Exactly.
But
We're lucky.
but no, so Scott Moore's here. It's great. We've got a big weekend ahead of us. We're taking Scott out and about in Edinburgh tomorrow, and then we're heading up to Glencadam. Cody Reynolds is sorting us out with a trip to Glencadam, so
Just
there'll be a
open to
vlog.
the public as well.
Oh yeah, there'll be a couple of vlogs coming out and maybe a special episode as well. Ross, ironically, our American listener, has flown all the way from America to come and see us at the same time that Ross has flown all the way from Scotland to America. So, but they are back on Tuesday. We're all in the same room on Tuesday, all going well.
I think they're just balancing it out, really.
Well, that's it, exactly. Yeah. Two big heavy hitters of the Whiskey Stories podcast. Can't have them all in the same place once. What are we drinking just now?
Well, this is it. You've strategically turned the label away from us.
What have we got?
What have we got here?
We've talked a lot about Dr Whisky, but I work with Adam Brands, which is Master Malt.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
So worked with Balvennie and Glenfiddich for years, and now I'm head of whiskey at Adam's Supplies, which is Master of Malt, the online retailer, Maverick Drinks, the UK importer and distributor, and Adam Brands, where we make shit up and try to make shit that I would buy, basically, which is a dream.
Yeah, because I mean that we spoke a lot with Dave Arlington about the boutique brand of things, but Adam Brands.
So Adam Brands, so yeah,
Well,
boutiques and Adam Brands.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of your brands we're drinking. This Wormtub,
Yes.
10-year-old. So if you could maybe explain what we've got here,
Yeah.
and
I will do. Yep. Let's do that then. When I was into whiskey, getting into whiskey, you start geeking out, about fermentation times and all that kind of shit, and condenser types. I thought that Craigellachie, Ben Rinnes, Springbank had something. Talisker, Glenkinchie had something different than other distilleries. It's amazing. I think we take it for granted. We don't really recognize it. The classic malts, the Diageo classic malts, are almost all Wormtub distilleries. So the distilleries they chose can't expand. So Nick and the team, when they decided that, I think that they weren't thinking just commerce. They were thinking like, how do we protect cool distilleries? Because there's no room for some of these. Open can't grow.
this is it. You've got
It's done. That's the capacity is the capacity. And so the one they chose were for flavor, not just for money. And that's fucking cool.
That's fair. Yeah,
Everyone who shit talks Diageo, the decisions they've made have always been to elevate the category, not to elevate just their own brand. So Anyway, all to say, I learned because of that. I learned that Wormtub. There was something about distilleries that use Wormtub condensers.
We're big fans of them.
We are big fans. We had a great experience just to kind of.
Yeah, go.
We went to Speyburn in the summer, and
stood on top of them.
we stood on top. They were
empty.
in their silent season, so we were able to stand on top of the Wormtub. And normally, where you can't see anything because it's just we could see the whole Wormtub all the way down the copper pipe, and really.
So
cool.
anyone listening to this, but
anyone listening to this, no idea, but
no, they do. Anyone,
we talk Wormtubs a lot.
We do talk a lot of Wormtubs. I'm talking rubbish.
But it is the image you have of whiskey making with this tub with water, and but it's not practice anymore. It does have an effect on the spirit, and so I thought for years, long before I came to Adam, that was one of the first things I did was Wormtub. Try to think, I want to make a whiskey called Wormtub. We gives you, like what we were just saying with Jane Street, gives you the flexibility to use different distilleries, only a handful.
Yeah.
But you can have a 10-year-old cask strength sherry cask meaty style whiskey.
Yeah. So that is meaty.
Because this is a single malt, so
it's always a single malt.
Always a single malt. The distillery might change.
In fact, the first time we released it in 2018.
It's cask strength 50.
Yeah.
In 2018, it was a blended malt. I thought that would give me more flexibility.
Yeah. But it's a really cool concept for a brand as well, because it's like, you're going more specific about, okay, we're unnamed distillery, but you're gonna get this. If you like that sort of flavor, this is exactly what you described, that meaty sherry.
I hope so. Yeah, and the sherry helps that. I think, especially with Craig Alecky or Ben Rinnes, a bit of sherry helps, but we have the flexibility to mess around. And
so this is a single malt.
Always a single malt.
So we don't know where this batch is from.
No, every batch is different.
But what we do know is that you can sit there. The real fun thing it would take because we have talked about doing it where there's talk about Ali Baxter's bedroom window bingo, but basically the 14 Glens of Speyside is something that we've talked about all. But somebody did, I think it was Fraser Souness, did stick it on the Facebook group saying, can we list
distilleries that have Wormtub?
All the distilleries in Scotland that have Wormtub condensers. Now, you might
off the top of your head?
Well, it was a challenge. You put it to a challenge, and then we try to work out, how many actually is that? I think there's about 27, maybe more.
No, less.
I think it's about 17 or something.
Is it?
I think it's less than 20.
So the newest, Ardnahoe.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Ballandalloch, which you don't see much, although now they're finally out, and I'm buying everything they're making.
Well, this is the thing. You're a guy that probably can't name them off the top of your head because you've got.
Well, okay, I'm a fucking nerd.
Well, you're making a whiskey. You're sourcing whiskey.
The cool thing is, a lot of them, Craggamore, Talisker, Springbank, you can't really get.
Yeah.
As an independent bottler, which is fundamentally what we are. So that makes it fun to try and seek those things out because they are out there.
Yeah.
And Springbank is.
So this could be a Springbank. That's what you're saying. This could be.
If it were, unfortunately in today's market, we wouldn't put it in a 50-pound bottle.
So is that what it is? A 50-pound bottle?
50 pounds cask strength sherry cask.
That's good.
I don't think we can do that.
No.
Springbank. I think it would be a dumb business idea, or Talisker for that matter. But it's one of the other ones.
But so you're saying so you've got 3 there, but so you're saying there's I thought there was more than 20.
No, Dalwhinnie. We could keep going. This is boring. Hey, if you're listening, Google it.
Yeah. No, don't go to the whiskey. Go to the whiskey yearbook. Do it the proper way. But right, okay. Because Art and Brands, then this is what this kind of stuff. Head of Whisky, is that your job then? Is your job to go? Are you managing stocks? Are you looking at spreadsheets? Or are you coming up with brands, new brands, like exciting brands like Wormtub? Are you sitting there going, right, let's come up with this kind of cool brand? Because you've got a really, really, really good route to market effectively, because you could suddenly go, right, Head of Whisky, we're going to source some liquid. Now, your buying power would be pretty cool, pretty good to have that you've got. Then you've got the ability to buy the liquid quite comfortably. Then you've got the ability to create a market around it, create a brand, and then you've got the other end where you can stick it on Master of Malt, and you've got the market there that could and your own promotion that could do that as well. So
having somewhere that you can actually just sell the thing
is
a great advantage.
Yeah,
because I can fart. We could have fart an idea out of our mouths. It'll smell terrible right now. And I think between 2.5 and 6 weeks, I can have it on a website.
Yeah, it's mental.
And learn if people give a shit.
Yeah.
And then if organically no one's looking at it, then we'll do an email, see if someone's interested. And if it doesn't, well, cool, we'll stop. And that the job I signed up for was to be able to riff on that kind of stuff and not be in Excel docs, but try to make whiskeys that I would buy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now I am a lot in Excel docs and being asked to like answer financial questions. I'm a fucking rhythm guitar player. I don't know. Ask someone who cares, but I can still every day dream up the next thing I might be into buying, and I feel very lucky to be able to continue to do that.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of numbers are you talking on your what's an mail shot list look like? What kind of numbers are you looking at on that?
How do you mean? Sorry.
Like how many people could you fire an email out to? If you said
1 million.
Right, so you can certainly say, right, yeah, you know that.
And it's a pretty good gauge, right?
Yeah.
Already whiskey engaged people.
Yeah.
I have a black whiskey. I've always wanted to make a black whiskey, and I'd love to talk because even here, as I was taking a piss, as I left the toilet, OVD mirror.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As a Canadian coming to Scotland, it blew me away that when that dark drink I saw everyone drinking in the old man pubs that I liked wasn't even Scotch whiskey.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
OVD
So I really want to make a Scotch whiskey that is black Scotch
Because
whiskey.
I mean, well, there's been attempts at that in the past. That kind of really dark whiskey. I don't think it's always been, you know, something that's been. Well, I don't know. People have been very critical of it in the past. So it's something interesting for you to say that you want to do and want to maybe.
But just having, but the thing
is that you know,
it's not for a Glencairn wanker. That whiskey is for the old man of the pub.
For the old man
so
of the pub. Okay.
If you want, Serge Valentin's not going to like it. Angus is going to laugh at it, and that's cool.
Yeah.
It's not for that. It's for when you're at the pub. Why are we in Scotland at great pubs? Why are we buying OVD? It sort of upsets me. I think we should be buying Scotch whiskey.
Yeah.
And if it takes making it black and making it pair well with a good malty beer, that's what we made.
Well, that's. I mean, it's funny when you like the pairing and what it goes well with and all that kind of stuff, because the famous half and half, like the half pint, half pint with the measure. Why was it called a half again? Can you remember why the
half Jill? Half Jill.
Yeah, that's it. So like that was the sort of basis of that story. But yeah, you look back at people that have decided. Like I always love the story of Cobra Beer.
Yeah,
it was like Lord. I always get the guy's name mixed up. Lord Bilamaya, I think his name is. Probably butchered that. Indian guy studying over in England through the 70s, and he said that he couldn't have a beer that went with a curry. And he said if you had an ale, it was too warm and too heavy to have with a curry, and if you had a lager, it was too frizzy and too hoppy to go with a curry. So he started coming up with a blend where he would actually mix an ale and a beer together, which would go perfect with a curry. He went back, because in India that was it. And then it's certain things like that. They picked the bigger bottle, because in India it was like table wine. Beer would be. So Cobra were the first. Was it
750 ml?
750,
or maybe even just 700 ml.
But it's the first big bottle.
It's a big bottle, yeah.
And by then, it worked two ways, because shop owners and restaurant owners hated it because they didn't have fridges big enough for the beer. But at the same time, they also loved it because people would see it on the tables in restaurants and go, "What the hell's that?" And then when they said it's a beer that goes well with your curry, and they said that the Friday night in England, the Friday night beer and curry. You know, that sort of culture, that was what it is. Anyway, we've completely diversed here.
No, but I think that the honesty of coming from a place, trying to make a thing that you wish existed.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I'm not looking at an Excel document when I'm trying to make a whiskey, like how much money we're going to deliver this quarter. I don't give a fuck. I mean, sorry, boss.
Please don't phone me tomorrow. We're going to have to cut all this out. But
no. I don't work for. I work for an independent company owned by a friend of mine, so it's all good, and I have the freedom to do that.
And that's great, because then they've just pulled the bottle up that we've talked so much about on this podcast. The Dalry Milk, which again, there's a world where there's quirkiness. Okay, and then there's a world where, like, is everything you put out just going to be a quirky joke, or do you look at? But then there's also like the seriousness of the whiskey, of making, like, for example.
Well, is this the independent bottling? I mean, is this the independent bottling thing of putting the Ardbeg 10 in the 5 worst whiskey? You know that this is going to garner some attention.
But also,
It didn't come from that, but yeah, I think that's totally fair.
Unintentionally.
No, but also,
totally fair.
and from a cynic's point of view as well, this is what leads to this. And also, I can now vouch for that as well. But there's a world where because I remember when I saw the Dalry Milk, and I thought, that's funny. But then I also went, gimmicky whiskey has this, is this a smash and grab job where you can go, we could stick, and I've been there. I've been part of bottling projects where we know we could, if we wanted to, put anything in that bottle and we know it'll shift, right? But of course you don't, because I come from a whiskey background. In that project where I've had the conversation with the guy saying, can we not just put that stuff in because it's cheaper to sell it? My argument is no, because if somebody opens that bottle and has it, they're never going to buy another bottle off us again.
Exactly.
So, but
that's not just your responsibility to that bottling; it's to the whole category.
Absolutely. But the Dalry Milk. So
I should add, we were both big fans of this.
Well, we did a few drams. Where had we been? We'd been somewhere.
I can't remember. Was it maybe when we went to Rosebank or?
No,
it was somewhere.
We'd been out for the day.
Oh right, it was somewhere we'd been out.
We
for
ended
the
up
day.
in here.
And
we saw it on the shelf.
I can't remember.
We were
something.
We were so pissed.
Something extracurricular to our whiskey activities. I think
we were pissed.
But we came here and we were in quite.
The Woody was there actually.
Woody was there,
because I tried that and I don't know how pissed I was, but I was like, they've put chocolate in there. Right, and I was adamant that.
Graham actually was convinced you'd put chocolate in this, and I was.
Well, so give me a chance then to explain it, because I'm saying it last night. I think people, none of it comes from a bad place. I promise.
Of course.
The most. No, let's start at the beginning. I've talked about Edinburgh feeling like home.
Yeah.
We've left the UK, my wife and kids, and we've moved to Norway. Mm-hmm. I think after COVID, after Brexit, we were like, is this island sinking? And we just felt like I would be a bit. When borders closed, I realized, shit, I can't get home to see my brother. That's scary. So we were looking around. The kids too were like, hey, let's try something different. So let's do it. So we moved to Norway. After a year, everyone's digging it.
Yeah.
I don't think we're coming back.
Yeah.
And that's sinking in. And boys, men, we aren't. I'm not super in touch with my emotions. I totally recognize that, but they always catch me eventually. So I was in Edinburgh last November, or the first week in December, sorry, and I was on the Airport Express in from the airport, and as we came to Kistorf, and we decided, in the context is we decided we aren't coming back.
Sure.
And on the bus, as we enter Kistorf, and I catch a whiff on the bus of North British, that oaty thing in the air. And I just started crying.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just a little bit. And then it I caught myself, why am I crying? And then it got like one of those kind of ones. It was fucking embarrassing. There were people sitting facing. I was in one of those seats where people we were facing each other. A bit embarrassing. But anyway, I just let it happen because obviously it needed to happen. Yeah. Something was going on. I just let it happen. And then I decided I got to make a North British whiskey.
Because that smells quite funny. Because I mean, I think it divides a wee bit of opinion. Because my current wife, I'll drive on that road quite often. I live out kind of near Christopher Way, and I drive on that Western Approach Road quite frequently. And I'll wind down the window and go, "Oh, there you go." Laura just goes, "That smells of farts," you know.
Well, it's actually stopping now.
I mean, that's what the back label says. The back label says, sadly, of all the social and economic issues the local council could address, it was mandated in 2009 the distillery install an odor control tower. That breaks my fucking heart.
It does. And I remember, I mean, you know, going to school in Edinburgh, we were at the other end of Edinburgh, but when you got that, and to be fair, when we were there, that was when the brewery was still.
That's exactly.
But when you got that westerly wind, you would just get, whoa, you know, you get a real whiff of it in Edinburgh.
I remember coming to Edinburgh for the very first time and smelling it and not knowing what it was. I didn't dislike it, but I just remember like that was it was like Edinburgh, you know, Old Reekie is what. That's what they call it. Old Reekie is
absolutely iconic. Yeah.
So this is it. You've decided a North British.
I need to make a North British whiskey.
Yeah.
A love letter to Edinburgh type of thing, and I'm allowed to do whatever the fuck I want, which is great about my job.
So I mean,
the Dalry Milk thing came later.
Oh right, because I was going to say this is an interesting thing because you've talked about being I was going to say does the tail wag the dog here because you were talking about being, you know, oh it's cool when I'm thinking of what brands I can make and I'll go and seek that cask out sort of thing, or is it a case of you get the parcel in and it's like, right, what can I make out of this?
Or did you just source the liquid?
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you see what I mean? Because
we already had 15-year-old. I think we bought it when it was 10.
Yeah.
It's been sitting mature. We still have a bunch of North British.
Yeah.
So I want to bring this. I'm going to bring this whiskey out again.
Oh, brilliant.
I don't give a shit about the fucking chocolate thing. The chocolate thing was just the whiskey is delicious grain whiskey. That's what I wanted to make as a love letter to Edinburgh. And then as what was that, December? So then January we're having meetings. Oh, maybe April Fools could do something. And I was thinking about other nostalgic things. When I grew up, my mom was a bit of an Anglophile, Coronation Street. I wasn't allowed to go into her bedroom Sunday mornings because she watched the omnibus.
Canada?
Yeah. She'd watch the omnibus on.
I thought there'd be better things to do in Canada.
No. My Sunday morning, she'd watch the 5 days of Corey from that week. I wasn't allowed in her room. That was like, you'd get yelled at. And in her room, so my mom had a friend, Brenda, I think it was from Manchester.
It sounds like she's straight from Coronation Street. Yeah.
And whenever she'd come back to Canada, when she'd ever come home and then come back to Canada, she had to bring my mom Dairy Milk.
Oh, yeah.
And so there'd be Dairy Milk next to my mom, and so you go cuddling up to my mom was like just to get a square. You weren't allowed to take it. So there was that like cozy.
Yeah.
So then I started playing with that idea, and then Dalry, and then it just sort of wrote itself. And then you know what we could do? We could do this, and everyone was like, yes.
It triggered so much conversation on the podcast. We had a situation where Angus explained his dad's habits of first of all, it explained it triggered a conversation of whether you put chocolate in the fridge or not. Keep chocolate in the fridge.
I heard that.
Yeah, and I explained my dad puts Cadbury's cream eggs in the freezer.
I heard.
Which is
Nicole Leslie was on the podcast that day. She was like,
it's controversial, and then there's that.
So, but it's a label from when I was a kid. That's
because that's the old school. That's the old school. That is the old school.
So it's it's my mom.
It looks like the old school Dairy Milk label, but
it's my mom. So it's a totally honest, emotional thing, not a gimmick. I mean, it's April Fools. But it's as honest as possible, and I know. And look, they were super cool about it when they came and said, "What the fuck are you doing? Stop!" They were really cool about it. And we still got plenty of the liquid, so I want to make it. I want to keep making it.
That's great.
Can't without the gimmick.
So it's 16-year-old.
16-year-old North British in Oloroso and Palo Cortado.
Because like I say, whether how pissed we were that night, I can't remember. I can't remember where we'd been, which tells us how pissed we maybe were. But I can remember of that night.
Well, I mean, you thought someone was great. And
genuinely though. I was like, they've
melted it in.
Stuck it in.
Yeah.
That's I have to be totally honest. That is just a happy accident because I was trying to make something yummy.
Yeah.
I was not trying to. The chocolate thing came later.
Well, I'm going, Woody, come here, Woody. And Woody's come over and I'm going, smell that, taste that. I said, there's chocolate in that, isn't there? And he's going, kind of.
I think it's because labels and taste.
Sometimes they're
suggestive.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're pissed, and
exactly.
And I'm a suggestive. I'm a very.
It's suggestible. Yeah.
No, but that made me really nervous when it happened. Is that people were? I didn't want people to expect chocolate. It was.
Well, it's
a very vain project. It's like it's just something to this, an ode to this city, my life and wife and all the shit I said earlier. That's all it is. I don't want someone to open it and say, "Oh, well, that's not chocolatey." And there's lots of taste notes online. Say that's not very chocolatey.
Well, I was.
It wasn't trying to. It was not trying to be ever. It worked for you.
Oh, fantastic!
It was never trying to be. Just trying to be a delicious grain whiskey. North British is one of the best. It's made of maize. Corn whiskey's king.
Yeah.
I think it's a great drink in any country. Corn whiskey is delicious, and
And a lot. I mean, there's a lot of.
Are we all right to have?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Oh, thank you. Yeah, we'll.
There we go, Angus. Get Angus on the pour. Say we'll get a half pint out of that.
Yeah. Well,
see if you can split the G.
You've no guys.
Split the D. Split the D.
Whiskey needs to come up with an equivalent for that, right?
Yeah.
Please drink responsibly, but
please drink responsibly. Yes.
So, what's it? How often are you having these meetings where you can sit down and go
meetings? I love that everyone thinks
or just conversation.
No, I'm not trying to be. That sounds. But you see comments on like, fucking it's a bunch of marketing. we don't. What does that even mean? People don't know what marketing means. Marketing means like trying to get the thing to market. There's no marketing. There's like 3 of us who have one of the 3 has a good idea. The other 2 are like, that's fucking dumb or that's cool, and that's the end of it.
But yeah, but like,
it's just a bunch of people.
Do you get like we had Carol Crafts from Arden Merkin on, and he was talking about the tasting panel, and I think he said, what was it? He said, was it like they were tasting something, and he went, "What would happen if we just?" I don't want to get the phrase wrong here, but it was almost like what would happen if we just fucked a bit of sherry in there? And they were like, okay, and they tried it, and they were like, that's it. And you're going, well, that was the conversation that was had. 5 or 6 guys round the table, people drinking drams, trying for one of the Ardnamurk next releases, and basically what would happen if we fucked a bit of sherry in that? And they went, okay, try that, and it was like, from a sherry. They found a sherry, but put a bit in and went, that's nailed it. That's what, are there conversations that you guys, the 3 of you guys are sitting around the table going, what's next? What can we come up with? Or what have we got access to? Or do we go out and look for liquid? Or are we just, or what have we already got? Because the other thing is, you speak to Greg Urquhart or other people who are head of, they're looking at stuff. Greg's doing sample sessions all the time. And when he's doing a sample session, he knows, he'll say, that's good to go now. We can get that out of the casks and out cask and into glass right now, or he could say that could wait. We could put that to the side. Is that driven by what stock you've got available, what stock's ready, what stock you can get your hands on, or just the ideas that you can come up with?
Okay. I think in 2023 I took count of how many new whiskeys we put out, and it was 200 something. So not a lot of thinking. At 200, it's just like.
And then, I mean, I suppose with that you've got the thinking.
No, it's a dream, man, because I get
there must be a question of what brand is this whiskey? Is it?
That's
this a boutique whiskey or is
so these are brand? Sure. I mean, I wish they hadn't stopped us. We could continue with that. We will continue with Dalry Milk. It just won't look.
You just
like
need to do it. Well, you could do a Galaxy version of.
Yeah, exactly. No, it doesn't need to be chocolate related. So it continue. Wormtub. It's because of inventory. You know that I know that I can speak to Diageo or Beam Suntory or someone or Dewar's who has distilleries with Wormtubs, or Inverhouse who have distilleries with Wormtubs, and just always get a supply. So I know that can happen. So the concept works. Check. Let's try it. Boutique catches a lot of the stuff I think you're talking about, where like you taste like that tastes like diesel. Yeah. Well, we're not going to, and there's only one cast that tastes like diesel, so that's a boutique.
Yeah, right.
You get someone to draw a nice cartoon of a diesel engine.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Yeah.
Or something that's like a super typical, clean, crisp, fresh linkwood. Yeah. That's Master Malt indie bottling. Sure. We just put it out as a refill cast, Master Malt, 35 pounds. Yeah. See you later. And like brands, if you're trying to make up, we've had. Seaweed, Eon's Digging a Fire.
The seaweed. Yeah.
Or butterscotch, the same. And that thing.
And I like those because it's almost a bit like that SMWS thing where it's like, you know what, we're just gonna very plain label, no kind of.
Someone brought one on. Yeah, the pod, didn't they?
We've had it. It was the seaweed Eon's
Digging Fire.
We had that. I think it was actually. It was at the Edinburgh Whiskey Festival. I think we had that.
Yeah, really nice.
It was really nice. But nice to go just flavour led. This is what you're getting. We're not going to say that, distillery's not on the front. We're not doing that. This is it. That.
Yeah.
Taste this.
Hoping that you can always get 10-year-old Isla whiskey.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Like, you're talking about the source of. I mean,
so the source is a big part.
And we're also, in our mind, when you mention like being an independent bottler, your independent bottler in our head is, you speak to somebody who maybe says we can get. Depending on parcel sizes, and that's what dictates what they're able to get. Whereas if for example, this is cask strength, but it's not single cask.
No, we do a Wormtub single cask, but no, that's not a single cask.
That's not. So the volume. Again, like how many? What's an outturn look like roughly? I mean, I'm not asking you for exactly.
I can't remember what we did this time, but I think one of them we did 6,000 is probably the biggest.
Sure.
And 1,000 is probably 1,001, so that we hit a certain minimum order quantity on labels.
Okay, yeah. But that, I mean,
probably
even
the smallest.
in itself, like just the thought of putting 1,000 bottles out. But then when you see the vastness of what your market could look like, where you could put that out to, you know,
that's global. So that's not just Master Malt, the UK, exactly. That's everywhere.
Yeah. So I mean, that's it. Whereas when in my mind, sometimes you think about like an independent bottler, you're thinking about one of 220 bottles because someone's bottled a hogshead, refill hogshead of, like you say, liquid.
Yeah.
But you also have that.
Well, I mean, Lang's, Teamworks Beastie, and Big Pete. I mean, that model inspires me. I used to work for them too, and they're all friends. And I think that's a model that works. The things that are one and unrepeatable, put it in a single cask. The things that you can get consistency in the casks are up and down, but you need to blend them to make them viable. Let's make that Teamworks, or let's make that whatever other thing in the range. I think Scotch Malt Whisky Society does that.
Yeah.
I think Compass Box is a independent bottler.
Yeah.
I know they're blenders, but
no, that's it.
They really are independent bottlers in that because you have diverse inventory availability, you find a way to make something
make this work.
Something work.
Well, all right, so let's go back then. So we've seen where you started and we see where you are now. How do you get to a position where you can sit there and go, right, we're going to put out this release and we're going to do that? What was the next step? So you've studied in Edinburgh. You've
This is the worst podcast ever.
It's
honestly,
terrible.
if you're still listening, everybody, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's my fault.
No.
But like, get a transcript, ask Gemini to summarize, and put it in chronological order.
that's how I'm.
Yeah, no, but it's like all these good films that go from one. This is it.
We're Memento.
Exactly.
What we're going to do is we're going to put every time we flash back, we'll put a little like 2000.
Exactly. Yeah.
Make some of it black and white. Make some of it color.
Well, we just go down a rabbit hole and then we have to climb right back out.
I'm just conscious that we've got to where we are now, but so far people might be going, well, how the fuck do you get from working at Oddbins and writing a blog to being able to have such a vast reach over whiskey and such a vast selection and such a big market to be able to stick it out? And also, what makes you qualified to be able to do that?
Nice.
Because
I'm a woman. And women, you can't possibly like whiskey. I get that, even with this, and I do.
Well, because
I'm very sympathetic to women in our trade who say that, because I've had it my whole time. Because I talk like this.
Because you're not Scottish.
Yeah.
Really.
So how can you know?
Yeah. Because it's interesting. You were saying when you worked with Balvennie and you were trying to get Scots involved to do it and their level of interest in whiskey, but at the same time,
that's because it legitimized me.
Yeah. Because if I suppose you can imagine if you're an American or anywhere from the world, Australian, wherever, you've travelled all the way to Scotland, and you want to hear someone talk about whiskey, and a non-Scot turns up. And we've had it. We've had females on the podcast saying, can I not have a conversation with the guy over there, please, about whiskey? And actually, there's plenty of females who work in whiskey who could tell you more about whiskey. And the classic one was...
Everyone just wants Cameron Ewan to turn up.
Yeah,
big kilt.
A big, bold, ginger guy, a kilt. But you know, even things like Monique DePacer, who's now married to Tom. Yeah. We had Tom and Monique. She's a Canadian as well. I'm sure she's been on.
She is Canadian.
She was Canadian. She used to work in the whiskey shop with her partner Tom, and she loves peated whiskey, and he doesn't. Right, and then what would happen is you'd get a guy saying, "I need to take what's a good whiskey for a woman," and he would be like, "Well, what can I say? Because my partner over there would blow my socks off with
what does that mean?
the peatiest, smokiest." And actually, we've said it before. Through our What 3 drams, I'm confident, I've never collated it all yet, but I'm confident that more females have given peated whiskey on their What 3 drams than males, which is a very interesting, whether it means anything or not, I don't know, but it just is a fact that I can say that there's more. So, but what I'm saying is, how do you get to a position where you've got an inventory that you've got at your disposal to be able to come up with these ideas? Was it an accident you got into that job, or was it?
Oh yeah, it's just luck and generosity of other people. But I Oddbins, moved to London, started the blog, was trying to figure out what the hell am I going to do. Academia was just competitive, and I didn't like the vibe because you're always fighting for the same funding. And then there was a Scotch blog. I said Kevin earlier. The American website.
Scotch blog. There we go.
Yeah.
We'll call back. That's a recall.
Bless. No, but he was.
Graham will edit that later.
That's fine. So I seem smart. He carved it in English. He definitely Serge, Kevin, and Dr Whisky. It was easy to find if you Google. I came up, so that may be prevalent. So he told me that Balvennie was looking for a brand ambassador in New York. So he sent me the job description and like who to email. I did that. I met a guy named Robert Hill, and right at the same time, it's worth saying, right at the same time, because I worked at the Whiskey Exchange as well, in the shop and in the store, in the main warehouse. Bushmills was hiring a brand ambassador. What do you mean I can talk about whiskey for a living? I didn't know that fucking existed.
But was brand ambassadors a big thing?
No, not a big thing.
Yeah,
it was a new-ish thing,
Right, okay.
definitely. There was Colin Dunn at Bowmore,
Right, okay.
who really inspired me when he came to Oddbins. There was a guy, Andy Forrester, at John Mark and Robbo, but there weren't really ambassadors.
Yeah.
The ambassadors were Bill Lumsden and Bill and
They were the ones actually having to do they were having to do the graft as such to sell
right.
it.
Yeah, who knew it? Credible people rather than some wanker from English poetry, who worked at an Oddbins once. So and then there were a bunch of interviews at the same time. A few of the big companies that I interviewed with were really impersonal and I just felt not nice.
Yeah.
I met Robert Hill at William Grant, and it was a beer and chat and natural and felt good. And then they called me and said, "Do you want to fly over to New York and meet the team there?" Yeah, of course, I'll fly to fucking New York. And then I became a brand ambassador. And I'm telling you all this because that's the path. And so then worked with Balvennie across the U.S. Country was too big. We had to hire someone else. And that team grew, and there was an opportunity to move back to the UK to be the global ambassador. And I wanted to come back. I liked New York, but nice place to visit. Wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah,
it's totally true. And moved back to London, and then in living back in the UK, lived at the distillery during that really snowy year 2008,
2009 or 2010?
10, I think. Yeah. Oh no, the end of 2009. You're right.
Yeah,
yes.
I was going to say I was a student in Stirling, and my heater packed in for about 4 weeks. So
that crazy snow where there's pictures of the whole island just covered in snow.
Yeah, that.
And we had a newborn, and we just skiing around.
I was wearing about five layers and breathing my own breath. And
we pushed the car up the hill from Craigellachie.
So you were in Speyside then?
Yeah. So when I came back, I asked if I could live there and be at the distillery and like breathe it all in and stuff. So we did that for a while. Wow. And then worked closely in those years as a global ambassador. Of course, I built a team of ambassadors, men and women, worth saying what we were talking about earlier, and people all over the world. And worked closely with David Stewart and Brian Kinsman in like stock management. Like I had a million questions. How do you make grants taste the same?
Yeah.
And how the fuck does all that work?
What guys to work with as well. I mean, you must have learned so much from those guys because I mean they're kind of storied names within the whiskey industry.
Well, their names are on the bottles, effectively.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And it blew me away that David Stewart, when they would do a vatting of Balvennie, they'd have all the casks going into a tank to be finished, and he'd go up and down to find foul casks, not to find good ones.
To find the wrong one.
If there was a fault.
And nosing and tasting every cask, which is just
definitely nosing, not necessarily tasting, but
nosing every cask.
I mean,
which is just incredible, right?
What other company of that size does that? It was very inspiring and sort of learning all that.
And at his age as well, because
he was
back then.
Well, younger then, but he was still. He definitely, even then, probably should have retired.
Yeah.
But it's his DNA. It's not work for David. And he was such a gentleman all the time, always and showing me things. Oh, Sam and Ton 1401.
Yeah.
Those type of projects, working with really ancient stock, learning how we married them.
Because that's I mean that's how a brand ambassador should be taught effectively and we've spoken to people who have been on that journey as a brand ambassador where they go, no, you're going to spend a time on every part of the production, speaking to the engineers, everything, so that when someone does, it's not so much about if someone asks you a question you're able to answer it. It's more about just so you are part of the DNA of the brand that we're talking about. Because if you can sit there and go, I've been in the room with the guy, or I've been in the warehouse with the guy who literally, the dram you're drinking right now, the person who's put that together has made it a point that knows every single one of those cans before it even gets stuck in the bag to find out. And he's in his 60s, 70s or whatever, and people go, like, fuck, no way. Yeah, because if you don't know about whiskey and you hear that level of, like, because you see the level of production when you're working for a company like William Grant & Sons, what they're pushing out to the world, that level of production is just absolutely massive.
But the level of care at that scale is unnecessary, actually.
Yeah.
But the fact that they do it shows you what's important.
100%. And then if you're able to then learn that firsthand to then tell somebody that,
absolutely,
there's no way that people can say, yeah, you're talking rubbish.
No. And one of the things that very valuable that we learned there and that I taught every ambassador was you don't have to know everything. You can say I don't know. Don't. It's not about bullshit. You don't. Those guys don't know everything. And Brian's the most modest guy and humble. And David, you'd say, David, I love the new, whatever the fuck new thing came out. He goes, oh well, the lads at the distillery, they work day in day out. It's that modesty is it's a Scottish thing. But also just recognizing that there are elements at work that are out of your control as much as you try to control them. It's an art, and that being humble about the whole thing is vital. And that whole institution, that family-owned company, massive company, but doing all these things because it's the right thing to do, rather than it makes financial sense, is fucking awesome.
Well, we had Dougal Gordon on a few weeks ago, and Dougal talked about, which really blew my mind, was the fact that they have, like, within the company, they create a tasting panel for, like, so the accountant, the person in the office, the people who are working in the distilleries, tour operators and things like that, is they get, if they want to be part of so they get sent samples where they get to try it, and what they do again to make sure even more is they still stick a few dummies in the samples just to make sure people pick it up, so that they're going, you're not just smelling it going, it smells good. So and just to identify so the right people are doing it. But the fact that makes it everyone's job in the distillery to make sure that the product that's going out the door is as high a quality as it can be.
If you want to foster internal belief, everyone who worked, when I worked there, I think it's still probably true, would happily spend full price on the bottles that they make, because they're proud of what we make, because they feel a part of, and maybe it's fucking curtains and everything, but it's the right thing to to foster, like that internal belief, and it's genuine, it's real, and it's a massive company.
The staff discount must have been good though.
I never benefited from that actually. We got but people at the production sites had
But we are looking for sponsorship, and I've said from episode number 1 to now, if William Grant & Sons or anyone listening, I do go. If you want to send us some Glenfiddich t-shirts, we'll happily wear them on the pod. But we're big fans of it. But right, so how long were you there for then? What were you sort of working? So you're talking.
I never. Someone said to me, you can't work in one job for more than 10 years. A long time ago. But that was always in the back of my mind. So I did the U.S. ambassadorship, came to the U.K., was a global ambassador, and then as time was approaching 10 years in total, actually irrespective of that, I came back from a trip, and it wasn't like from Taiwan or from Hong Kong. It was like something innocuous like Newcastle or Aberdeen, where I just was late, and I told the kids and my wife I'd be home Sunday night. And I wasn't, and I felt shitty. So I came home, already felt shitty, and on the dining room table was a painting of one of the kids had made, or a drawing or some shit, with the cliche you're about to, here it comes, where it was mom and the 2 kids, and no daddy.
Oh, really?
And it was like a fucking knife. What am I doing? I'm missing their life.
Because a global brand ambassador, a brand ambassador job in itself, I remember we used to work within oil and gas, and everyone talked about the money that you can make working offshore and stuff like that. But a lot of guys would say it's a young single man's game, because you don't. If you can cope with being away from your family and your kids for a long time, then great. If you can live like that, but from a global brand ambassador's point of view, you've been out and up and about, living out. Okay, and we look at the global ambassador lifestyle, and you're thinking, flying out to here, and your whiskey this, and your tastings at these people, and you'll be meeting some amazing clients and everything like that. And that is one side of it. But then there's also the side of, like,
work-life balance.
In a hotel, your life, and all that. And look, I'm pretty sure it was probably great to work for a company like that. But if you've got a wife, kids, family back home, yeah, you've got to make that balance.
I'm not complaining. It was wonderful, but an airplane is a bus in the sky. It's sitting on a fucking bus. Yeah. So the 44 from wherever you are, nah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you've absolutely nailed it. That's the trade-off. It is wonderful to be able to represent something you love and care about, but the being away and all that stuff. Anyway, in my story, it got to me, and that's where I started calling around saying, "Is there another thing I can do?" And yeah, turned out there was, and there were a few different things I was exploring. And my buddies owned Master Malt. Justin and Ben were founders, and they said, "Yeah, you know what? Good timing."
So are these guys you'd been buddies with through whiskey?
Only
or?
through Dr. Dr.
Whisky.
So when I was doing Dr. Whisky, they were doing like the bloggers blend, I think they called it.
Right.
And they sent a bunch of bloggers recipe, and then we were all supposed to share online how we made it, and it was a cool campaign, smart idea. So I knew, and then I would go. I knew Ben. I knew Justin. I played music with Kat, who started dating Justin.
Bass
Kat
guitars.
Spencer.
Rhythm guitar. Sorry.
No. And so, through just friendly avenues, and then they said there might be a thing here. I started with them.
When was this then?
Left. So this is 2018.
Okay.
Grants was so cool though. When I said I'm going to leave.
So
and I handed over
for 10 years then at least.
Just 9 years, 9 months.
Yeah.
So
just didn't quite get to 10.
I was in my head all the time.
Yeah.
Handed it over to Gemma.
Mm-hmm.
And that, March, I think, 2018. And then within months they were bought by ABI. So that's why Ben was like, "Come now." Because we're about to be bought by money.
Really? Yeah. So what the Master of Malt story then? I mean, we've got to watch our time here, but like, what is the sort of?
I feel like we're fucking waffling.
No, we're doing fine. What is this? Because this is it. I mean, what the numbers that you've said and the scale of a brand like Master of Malt, and again, it was Dave that talked about it. Dave Worthington, he said Atom Brands, and he said, "No, you know what Atom Brand stands for? Can you remember what Atom Brand stands for?"
I've forgotten completely.
It's a taste of malt, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So we're obviously dealing with people who are whiskey fans.
Yeah,
who started Master of Malt then, and
Master Malt was started by Justin's dad in 1985.
Really?
Good Lord.
Yeah. As an mail order whiskey company. So you would get a piece of paper.
Netflix of whiskey, yeah.
Yeah, well, Netflix. Do you remember that when it was
CDs?
remember,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Or CDs, you know what I mean.
It was,
DVDs.
It was mail order.
Mail order back and forth. Yeah, fuck. That's fucking crazy. Actually, saying that out loud. I forgot that until you just raised it.
Yeah.
But that's what it was. And you'd fill out a form, you'd fill out a piece of paper, and you'd get a bottle. Yeah,
really? Master
Malt. Independent bottlings. Yeah, I think you can still see them at auction websites from the 80s and 90s.
Gee.
So, what's that, 40 years ago?
Yeah.
So our 40th anniversary was 2020 is now.
Wow.
So we did a Gervin 40 to celebrate that. But so that's before Justin was a little boy.
Yeah.
And then Justin, I guess, is a nerd. Grew up around whiskey, but he was a tech nerd. Don't mind me saying that, Justin. And he said, "Dad, you can do better. You can make this. There's a thing called the World Wide Web."
I think it's going to be really big one day.
I think it's going to be, and he's got better stories than I'm going to be able to relay. But basically, that was like, "Shut the fuck up. That's never going to be a thing. No one's ever going."
Well, wait a minute. Did it not come second to the Guinness Surge?
Oh no! This is some story. Whether this is a true fact or not, but it was the 1991 invention of the year. And there were 3 nominees. One was the World Wide Web, one was something else, and one was the Guinness.
And the vibrator the rabbit one.
The widget in the Guinness can that means you get that perfect draft served.
That. Yeah.
That won the invention of the year 1991 in some company's awards thing over the internet.
Oh my God.
Well, fair play to. I mean,
look, I love the widget. I think it is a great device.
It is great. I mean, it's still going to this day.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
I do think the internet's going to be a thing.
It's like all the poor buggers that never got their number one when Joe Dolce shut up at your face.
That's the famous one. It was Vienna Ultravox. It was Joe Dolce shut up at your face was number one. I like it.
We are a funny bunch. We're a bunch of apes, people.
There you go.
Not that clever.
But so
whatever.
Onto the internet then, and then it became
so it became an online website. But no, Ben, it's Justin's buddies, his childhood friends, came and joined him, and they made it into the master malt we know now. Ships all over the world, and then I think they started having a thing like, why isn't there a ... And that's why the part of the business that I'm responsible for started. Ben was like, why isn't there a gin that does this? Why isn't there a rum that does this? Why isn't there a whiskey that does this? And they made bathtub gin, rum bouillon, and boutique whiskey.
Really?
Yeah.
And so you get the call and that's it. And how many people are like you're head of whiskey, but how many people is there an assistant to the head of whiskey or anything like that? Is there?
So our whiskey sort of production, decision making or whatever the fuck. So I was with the team in Edinburgh. So we got a warehouse and bottling hall because all Scotch obviously needs to be done up here, and we might do some other spirits up here too. You're not supposed to do any whiskeys in Scotland. You can't make a whiskey in Scotland that's not Scotch, according to the SWA, which is just dumb for industry in Scotland. It's a really dumb idea. It's like when Wales said Welsh whiskey can only be bottled in Wales. Well, I'll stop buying Penderyn then.
Yeah. Because you can't bottle it. Well, if you're not going to build a warehouse and bottle it.
It's really short-sighted, really dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we do. And so, that team I count as part of my team. So that's 3 people now. Plus the bottling side, I got Cazetta and Jade, 5 people in Edinburgh. And then
So your warehouse is in Edinburgh?
In Portobello.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, come. We should go down and we were looking at cast today, 24. So I'm pretty lit. 20, that's my fault why this podcast is going hard as it is. We had 27 casts, I think, down there looking at some that are foul, some that are, oh my God, pieces of heaven. So that's great. So those 5 folks, and then Phoebe, Dave, James, and Dylan are the team that I meet with every day. Every morning we meet online and say, hey, what are we doing? And that's it.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. That's so exciting, and
now we were bought by ABI, but now Justin owns it again. We're 100% founder owned, big independent company.
That's massive. I mean, cask wise, in your place in Edinburgh, what kind of numbers are we talking roughly? Do you know? Can you say?
But small. No, we're not big. So those 200 and something, including octaves, so really small ones.
But that's like, because that would be more of your independent bottling, like so
the stuff we get from the big company supplier that supplies Wormtub distillates, we have to sherry finish it. We do all that.
Oh right, you do that on site.
Yeah, we do it all on site. So that's all. That's a lot of that is that. But like old Ben Nevis or. What have we got? 50-year-old whiskeys. All the precious-ish stuff is there. We used to have a lot of third-party warehousing, but most of it we keep in Edinburgh. But we're trying to. I think when the big boom after ABI, we sort of had 10 million pounds of inventory, and now we're maybe 2 million pounds.
Right.
We try to just keep it a little tighter.
Yeah, you don't want to keep it tighter. Yeah. Fantastic. That's really exciting.
That's brilliant.
Now, we timed this perfectly. We always get to the stage of the evening. I haven't briefed you about this, but if you've listened to a few,
listened to the podcast.
Then basically we do ask our guests for their what 3 drams, any 3 whiskies that have a sort of story or meaning or anything towards them. So I'm really excited to hear this, Sam. So what are your what 3 drams?
Johnny Walker Black.
Brilliant.
Go.
I love blended Scotch whiskey. I made Green Isle, our blended Scotch, that has never really taken off. But even though we, by most of our measures, we shouldn't keep making it, but we do because I say, sorry, that's why I'm here. Yeah. I'm proud of it. I love it, and it's I love that's a smoky style every day. What do I feel like? You look at a wall like this. What am I going to have tonight? Let's start there.
Yeah.
Let's start there, whiskeys. But so it's got to be Johnny Walker.
It's interesting. We've talked about it as well. Ross Barr sometimes on this podcast. Less so now.
Yeah.
When he walks
Occasional
into a
guest.
bar sometimes, and he maybe sees that wall of whiskey in a bar and he just doesn't know where to go, he'll just say, "Get me a Balvennie 12 now." And then I'll decide once I've had the dram, I'll be like, right.
Yeah, the dram that you can
that's
read
a similar kind of thing. It's like, right, I know.
Did you guys have this yet?
Yeah,
we did. Yeah,
lovely.
Fantastic. It's that dram where it's like, right, I know what I'm going to get here.
Yep.
I know it's going to be great. I know it's going to be.
Yeah.
So I know I can order it.
And they like,
and you can. Let's face it, with Johnny Walker Black, you can get it anywhere.
well, we're
So
talking.
that's the other plus, 100%. Yes.
Well, we talked about it. I've been doing a lot of digging into the archives of the podcast in the last day or so. And basically it was Simon Smith's first episode that he came on. I think that was like episode number 11 or 12 or whatever. And he talked about, and it was one of the few times, and really interesting, I posted 3 times about Whiskey Stories on Reddit. And I asked Scott Moore tonight, I said, how did you find Whiskey Stories? Like, I was just on Reddit and I saw a post. And it must have been one of the posts I did. But one of the other posts...
no, it could have been one of the posts.
Could have been.
Numerous other people would have done.
But one of the posts I put up, and bless Simon, I wouldn't go into Reddit, but he said about, he talked about no such thing as bad whiskey, right?
Yeah.
And he said that you can't, because it's subjective, it's whatever we taste. But he also then said that Johnny Walker Black has to be listed as the best whiskey in the world, because when you look at volume, distribution.
I'm looking at a bottle of it right there. I agree.
Yeah, and like we said, you could go anywhere in the world. And that was
that ties into, well, I chose that as one of my stories, and it ties into the fact that you can get it anywhere on this kind of very remote island in Greece. There it was in the kind of little corner shop. So,
and that's it. So he was sort of saying like consistency, volume, price, where you can get anywhere in the world. It has to rank as up there as one of the best whiskies in the world. And there'll be people that say, "Oh no, it's crap because it's this, it's that, it's the next thing." But at the same time, and also. The funny story that extends from your What 3 Drams story is the fact that you can get that whiskey anywhere in the world except for the Athletic Arms, right? Because what happened is Angus secretly, he's a sneaky bugger, right? Angus secretly didn't tell anyone he was getting married, right?
Yeah.
And it was
certainly didn't tell the wife.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't getting pushed down the aisle with a shotgun or anything like that before anyone. But he was being very coy. You were being a bit funny with us, right?
Graham's known me too long to know it.
Yeah.
Something was afoot.
I said something's not right, and he was being really. I can't do Thursday, and I'm busy on Friday, and I can't do anything. And I was a bit like, what's he doing? And I sort of said, quietly, I said, "You get married, eh?" And
yeah, he could be.
Wow. And he went, "Aye." And we were doing a recording on the Wednesday night.
That's right, yeah.
And were you married on the Friday or the Thursday?
It was a Friday.
Friday, but I wasn't going to see you on the Thursday. So I said, well, we'll have it wait. So we finished the podcast. I can't remember what episode it was. Maybe we'll look back.
It would have been 6 months in to the pod.
Aye. So when was what's your wedding date? This will test them here, eh?
10th of May.
10th of May, right. Well, we'll be able to find that. But anyway, we finished the pod, and I thought, right, I said, at least stay for a dram. It's Wednesday night, we'll have a dram. And I remembered, because it was after you got engaged, was you'd bought, the only whiskey you can get on the island in Greece was Johnny Walker Black. So I thought, I'll get you a dram, we'll get a Johnny Walker Black, and it'll just be a nice little bit. So I went up to the bar, and I says, "Can I get 2 Johnny Walker Blacks, please?" The guy behind the bar was like, and they do have it, because we could see a bottle of it.
I was going to say, they would keep it all downstairs, don't they?
It either run out, or they hadn't replaced it, or whatever. They couldn't find it, and they were looking everywhere. And they're like, and I said, "You've not got it yet?" And they went, "I'll be in a cupboard somewhere, but we don't actually have it available." I said, "I think we had 2 Glenfiddich 21s or something like that instead."
Nice.
Cost me a lot more.
Yeah, that's an upgrade.
But there you go. So you get it. Most accessible whiskey, except for in the pub, has over 850 open bottles of whiskey. But don't worry, Kev, if you're listening to this and going, "We fucking do have it," I've got a bottle here. It's here. There's the final bottle of it.
Iconic.
Classic one there. Brilliant. Great dram for number 1. Fantastic. Right, Sam. Number 2, please.
Balvennie Doublewood. And that is the first bottle I bought. Living on the Royal Mile in a student residence at the top of the Royal Mile in that little square with a fucking bagpiper every Saturday would be outside going, "Yeah!" Every morning. I fucking wish I had a pellet gun. Bought it from Royal Mile Whiskies. It was a small, it was $375 maybe, or $200 maybe. 'Cause I
right,
couldn't afford it. I mean, that was a lot of money for booze.
Yeah, as a student.
That was not. I was not buying a bottle, but that was my favorite. That was the best one I had tried to that date.
Yeah, so that was something you knew about. You went into Dalry Milk Whiskey and you said,
I was in that whiskey club.
I want to buy this.
Yeah, that's something I want in my house. But I'm not going to spend whatever it was, 24 pounds. Way more expensive now.
Really?
But I wasn't going to spend 24 pounds, whatever it was, 25 pounds for a full bottle. So I'll just get the small. And then I ended up working there, and so there's that story as well. And I still think, like I say about Edinburgh, but that's the taste, that's the feeling of home. I definitely feel settled in a
Brings
glass
back
of
memories.
Balvennie Doublewood is comfort, and it's still great. It's always been great. I have a collection of bottles from different vintage, for different periods. Of course, it's changed. Like Johnny Walker, I have a bunch of bottles in the basement of my parents' house in Canada, many of which they've opened because they thought it was, it's just a Johnny Walker.
But it's a
60s or a 70s or an 80s or a 90s that I kept on purpose. Anyway, whatever. It's okay. It's just booze. But they're all different. It's evolved over time. And like Johnny Walker, so is Balvennie Doublewood. But it still is a great drop. That's probably my number 2.
Well, I mean, being able to, this is what's really cool about when you go back through the years of it and the ages of it. And we're going to see that because with Famous Grouse, the flavour of Famous Grouse is going to change because they're moving production from North British to Girvan. And Girvan uses wheat and North British uses maize. So there's there's going to but it won't happen like that.
You're right.
But I bet you, if you buy a bottle of Famous Grouse right now and hold on to it for 5 years and then have a Famous Grouse in 5 years' time,
it'll be different.
There will be a change because there'll be the grain content.
Well, man, I love that. That's the first thing, because I think a lot of people would say, "Oh, the malt blend." It's about the grain.
Yeah,
that's the light and the stage, and you're so right. Corn behaves wheat behaves totally different than corn, and malt in those two shades of white are very different. I didn't think about that. Fuck.
Well, the reason it sticks with me, and again, there's a wee Canadian connection there. Is Harry and Walker when they built Dumbarton Distillery.
Yeah.
And they used a completely different still, column still. They used a completely different column still, and the column still they used could only use maize. And they did it from a Canadian grain production side of things. But I remember it was Mark Thompson who talked about, I can't remember where we were before we started the podcast, but he said like old Ballantines, you get that buttery popcorn flavour because the grain that they were sourcing at that time was from Dumbarton, and Dumbarton could only use maize in the production. Yeah. And suddenly it was the first time it ever popped in my head where like just the fact, because that's the thing, single malt, right? It's malted barley, all right. There are people who will tell you we can use different barley varieties as an example, but single grain
can be.
You can certainly say it, and also you can look at history and you can see through what was cheapest at the time to buy. You know, grains,
right.
Blended whiskey tasted like this in this period of time because probably the big grain distillers were buying maize or corn. So it's fascinating.
It's totally. I have old Ballantines, and I never connected the Canadian. I never connected the Dumbarton thing, which is totally true.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, there we go. Right, dram number 3.
That's the hardest, isn't it?
You can be on brand.
We'll give you a spare. We'll give you an extra if you go on brand.
No. Look, I'm very proud of everything we've made. That's not probably the whiskey that when I realized, because I've heard other people answer this, and you're not asking what's the best whiskey you ever had. It's like,
it's something that's important.
It's important to me. So when I realized that whiskey was going to cost me a fortune to drink, was when I tasted the guys in Royal Mile Whiskies when I still lived in Edinburgh. I tried a 30 in the old Balblair bottle.
Oh yeah,
38-year-old
vintages as well with Balblair in those days.
Before the vintages was in this bottle, wasn't it?
Right. Okay.
With the fat corks. Before that.
Oh really?
So it's older than that.
So it was like I think it was called 38-year-old, and they poured it for me, and it blew my fucking mind. What is happening? Like kaleidoscopic, tropical fruits, malty, bit of peat. What the fuck's happening here? How much is that? And I think it was not. It wasn't today prices or the past 10-year prices, but it was still like eye-watering. I was like, shit. Now I have a problem.
Yeah.
Now I need to try Highland Park 18, and I need to try Highland Park 25, or like whatever. Because there's a reason those things are sought after, and people pay money for them.
Yeah. And how old would you have been then? So you were just were you
26.
Still, right. So so I mean, again, like they always say that the older you get,
trying whiskey older than yourself.
Yeah, trying whiskey older. I mean, when you're in your 20s, because when you're in your 20s, on you know, unless you're Ross Bart, he's still in his mid-20s.
No,
and had whiskies that...
we were just talking about this with Scott Moore upstairs, and he said, you know, his birthday is...
61.
I'm sure he won't mind me saying, 1961. Yeah. So to try and, you know, he to try and find something that date specifically, you know, in America, impossible.
Yeah.
In Scotland, possible, as he's been finding out. But it's, you know, it's if you speak to the right people, yes, but it's not.
The other one that's worth saying is I worked with Sukhinder Singh in the Whiskey Exchange a few years after that, and he had a great array of things. And there was that regular Klein Leach, 12-year-old, but from the 70s, Ainsley and Habron, I think it said on. It was like orange and yellow.
Right.
That also gave me that feeling of I need to find. I know it's 200 pounds plus a bottle, but I need to keep trying to find that. That's what made me realize I've got a problem. Yeah,
no, I mean, well, Ross talked about he said it on here, the whiskey that will ruin whiskey for you is the Tomato 36.
Tomato 36 for Ross. He said,
he said it's a whiskey because once you try
for him, in a way,
you're like, right, this is what whiskey, because you try something like that and you go, whiskey can taste like this.
Yeah. So it's hard to go back to the...
Solera
is great. Glenfiddich 15 is great. But how... Yeah, I know.
It's and it goes back. We've talked a little bit about it. Age statement, and you know, you can go through and say age shouldn't matter on whiskey and stuff like that. But I think ultimately it does in some degree. Where if you get a good aged whiskey that's been aged, we've had really not great aged whiskey. We've had some few of them, not that many, but we've had whiskey that's been bottled for the age and not for the quality of it. But when you get a whiskey in, like if you're saying a 38-year-old whiskey that is being put out,
or that Klein Leach that was only 12.
Exactly.
But it was a time machine because the way they made the spirit is not the way we make it today. It's not. So age is definitely part of it, but it's also the distillate to begin with. And even old bottlings, and some old bottlings are horrific because they just don't work.
Well, this is it, and I often, you know, we wonder as well when you know we've had older bottles sometimes. You know, I remember there was a White Horse from the '60s that we tried. But it's again, it's like, well, we're not really tasting what it would have tasted like if we'd opened that fresh in 1960 and said, because, you know, 60 years in a bottle, that's got to do something. I mean, okay.
But also just flavours of whiskey change.
If it's been kept in a cool, dark place. But, I mean, you know.
Well, that's why I keep a lot of Tullibardine in the cellar, so that in 20 years it's going to taste great.
Yeah.
I love you, Roz. I'm just feeding into the myth. Great distillery, but way underrated. But anyway.
Yeah. No, well, look, Sam, we got there in the end. It's been an absolute cracker tonight.
Is this the end? Because I'm going to piss my fucking pants.
I thought it was just there.
I've heard that guy. Before.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Man,
thank you for the drams.
Thank you so much.
Honestly, it's been fantastic. It's been great. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. Don't forget, there are still some of our bottles might still be available. Glenelgan 13. It's actually whiskey now. The spirit drink has been taken out of it because it has the rest of it has been bottled under bond. So they are available on the Woodrows of Edinburgh website. There'll be a link. There's a link in our bio on our Instagram account. Check it out. You'll get
limited bottles left.
Yeah, I think we've got like 15, 20 bottles left. So £65 plus your postage packaging. They'll send it out to you. Anyway, Sam, thank you very much. All the very best. Slanjavar. Cheers. Thank you.